The Hantavirus outbreak isn't natural. That's the explosive revelation from a Gates Foundation insider, who says the deadly strain was engineered through a partnership involving Bill Gates, Gavi and DARPA, and that the global rollout plan has been underway for months. According to the whistleblower, Gates and his friends at Moderna have also been developing a vaccine for the strain behind closed doors, positioning themselves to profit from the very crisis they're creating. And here's the chilling part. Bill Gates warned the world years ago that a future pandemic will kill billions. He delivered the warning with that trademark smirk. But he wasn't joking. He was telling the public exactly what the elite had planned. And now, that plan has entered its next phase. And once you see the evidence we're about to lay out, you'll understand why they're terrified of people connecting the dots. A Gates Foundation insider claims the next phase of the elite agenda began the moment corporate media amplified the fear campaign surrounding the cruise ship MV Hondius, unquestioningly broadcasting the panic-driven narrative pushed by a professional travel influencer on board. The influencer wasn't just documenting events, he was playing a role in the operation, flooding social media and news outlets with hysteria, fear, and exaggerated claims of chaos, designed to psychologically prime the public for what comes next.
And I'm sorry, how is it that there are 147 people on board with 3 people dead, 7 confirmed cases of the Hantavirus, and the only video we've all seen from inside the ship is one guy named Jake crying in his cabin? No, I'm sorry, I'm not buying it, okay? And then I read about one other passenger who was quoted in BBC and AP coverage named Kazem Hato, also known online as Ibn Hatuta. Sorry if I mispronounced that. This guy. And he sent over footage over WhatsApp to AP News and BBC, and he gave them quotes specifically saying, "Actually, morale is high. People are watching movies, reading, and drinking hot drinks." 3 people are dead. And then it gets even weirder because he's posting stuff like this on his story. You can pause to read it, but the second paragraph says, "This whole situation has been blown out of proportion partly because of one person panicking on the ship whose video has been circulating on the media. While his reaction is valid, it doesn't represent the situation on board. Everyone else, 148 out of 149, has been calm. The situation is under control, and we just wish those who are sick a speedy recovery."
What's going on here? It just so happens the owners connected to the MV Hondius are involved in biolabs in the Netherlands, including work involving vaccines and animal testing for viral pathogens such as SARS-CoV-2 and other novel viruses. Just another coincidence, according to the media. But at a certain point, the coincidences start forming a pattern.
Oh, certainly we'll have one in the next 25 years. There's even some pathogens out there that we're watching over right now.
According to the Gates Foundation whistleblower, global elites have been quietly spreading hantavirus outbreaks while finalising the vaccines they plan to mandate on terrified populations. They got the patent out of the way just last year. Impeccable timing as always. Once they had a vaccine in place, they had to create a lethal virus. Here's what we know about the new hantavirus. Bill Gates, his globalist vaccine cartel Gavi and DARPA have been working on developing more lethal strains of the virus. No wonder Bill Gates' Gavi knew that the next pandemic was going to be the hantavirus. If you're experiencing deja vu right now, you're not alone.
Gavi was one of the first major platform initiatives of the World Economic Forum, and in many ways it serves us as a role model for how the public and private sector should cooperate in order to do some good work in a much more efficient way compared if governments alone or business alone or civil society alone would have acted. It showed not only what we can do, but it showed also how we can do what we are doing in a much more comprehensive way.
Straight from Klaus Schwab's mouth, Gavi are the stormtroopers of the global elite's biopharma terrorist wing. It gets even worse. Now back to Gates, the world's leading bioterrorist, who also works with DARPA to run a clinical trial with an Andes strain hantavirus experimental gene therapy vaccine, the exact same strain behind the so-called outbreak on the cruise ship. You know, the cruise ship, with owners who own biolabs invested in vaccines and novel pathogens. Honestly, what are the chances of that? 1 in a trillion? About as likely as a sequence tied to a Moderna patent from 2016 just happening to be found inside the COVID spike protein. It's 2026. Given everything we know about Fauci's gain-of-function work, Gates' mRNA crimes, and Big Pharma's criminality, Are we really still letting them get away with these crimes against humanity? What does it mean for humanity? We have the Gates Foundation insider speaking to us in just a moment. But first, some context. The fact Gates and his cronies were not punished for COVID means a virus with a fatality rate of the bubonic plague has been quietly seeded by psychopathic bioterrorists across the world.
You say, okay, what if a bioterrorist brought smallpox to 10 airports? How would the world respond to that? There's naturally caused epidemics and bioterrorism caused epidemics that could even be way worse than what we experience today.
It means experimental mRNA vaccines tied to the usual Gates-linked networks are ready for rapid mass rollout the moment the orchestrated media panic creates a market. It means World Health Organization-aligned governments are under orders to ramp up pressure campaigns, pushing mandates on populations about to face the most aggressive wave of psychological manipulation from the media since 2020. It means the World Health Organization has been emboldened to openly call for one world governance in response to the outbreak.
Incident, this outbreak has seen why the world needs a global entity that coordinates this.
And it means the return of lockdowns, restrictions, digital controls, and emergency powers, all justified in the name of public safety, while unelected global institutions accelerate the Agenda 2030 framework they never abandoned in the first place. Because if you thought that agenda disappeared after COVID, you haven't been paying attention. Coming up next, we speak to the Gates Foundation insider who drops bomb after bomb onto her former boss Bill Gates and reveals the numbers he's planning to kill with his next pandemic. The media machine is allegedly already locked and loaded, ready to flood every screen with non-stop fear, panic, and psychological warfare designed to drive the public into obedience. But we can't say we haven't been warned. President Gaddafi warned us that the elite were working on a Hantavirus outbreak, and that vaccines would be prepared to profit off the engineered pandemic.
زي الانفلونزا بتاعت الخنازير وان شاء الله تجي كمان الانفلونزا بتاعت الاسماك في المستقبل على اي حال ان المصانع تشتغل بتاعت المخابرات هذه لا يسمح ببيع الدواء لا يباع اعلنوا يقولوا الدواء مجاني الامصال المجانيه مش حتنتشر الفيروسات.
No wonder the globalists killed him.
We came, we saw, he died.
Then there was the X-Files, a known source of predictive programming. In the 1998 movie Fight the Future, Dr. Alvin Kurtzville tells Mulder that FEMA managed a small, possibly staged hantavirus outbreak in Texas to cover up alien infection. It's worth remembering the CIA used to feed script ideas to X-Files writers.
They want to discredit you for what?
Because I'm a dangerous man, because I know too much about the truth.
Now that end-of-the-world apocalyptic garbage, you right?
You know my work? I was right about Dallas, wasn't I?
How are you right?
Are you familiar with the hantavirus, Agent Mulder?
Yeah, it was a deadly virus spread by field mice in the southwestern United States several years ago.
According to the newspaper, FEMA was called out to manage an outbreak of the hantavirus. Are you familiar with what the Federal Emergency Management Agency's real power is? FEMA allows the White House to suspend constitutional government upon declaration of a national emergency. Think about that. What is an agency with such broad sweeping power doing managing a small viral outbreak in suburban Texas?
You're saying it wasn't such a small outbreak?
No. I'm saying it wasn't the hantavirus.
Well, what was it? What was it?
When we were young men in the military, your father and I were recruited for a project. They told us it was biological warfare, a virus.
But here's what they never want people to understand. None of it works without public compliance. The entire agenda depends on fear, deception, and obedience, while the machinery is built behind closed doors. According to Bill Gates' former staffer, the moment people learn the damning information she's about to reveal, the entire globalist operation begins collapsing in real time.
My name is For 12 years, I was a virologist for Bill Gates at one of the most powerful global health organizations on Earth. I thought I was saving people. I was actually helping build the machinery to kill billions. It was a rainy night in this cold waterfront mansion outside Seattle, fall of 2023, just the inner circle. My boss stands up, eyes flat and dead like a shark's, and says in this calm, almost hungry voice, 15% was pathetic. They fight us. They keep fucking breeding. They won't lie down and die like they're supposed to. So, we're raising the fucking target. He let it hang there, then dropped the hammer. He said 84%, billions erased in our lifetime. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd puke right there. He hadn't told the world yet, but we knew his foundation would close in 20 years. Now I understood. It's a countdown to mass extinction. Hit 84% and they shut the lights off. Mission accomplished. No more foundation, no more evidence, just silence. He got this twisted, almost sexual look on his face and kept going. We're creating something special, he said. A fast-acting HIV that transmits through the air, full CD4 cell destruction. But we've added enhanced mucosal binding so it spreads like the flu. One cough in a crowd, 6 weeks later, their immune systems are liquefied from the inside. The African labs are perfect. Endless primates, no oversight, perfect for serial passage. DARPA's vectors make it unstoppable. Hantavirus is already a horror show. Lungs bleeding out, drowning in your own fluids while you suffocate awake. We're weaponizing it for easy person-to-person spread. Then he smiled, this creepy, soulless smile. And the rats, he said, we've rewritten their brains. Neural tropism. They don't just carry it anymore. They hunt. They swarm into homes at night. Bite, shit, piss everywhere. Living, breathing plague bombs that never stop coming. Cheap. Self-replicating. Impossible to contain. When the meeting ended, he pulled me close and whispered, "You get it. The beauty of it. The screaming will go on for a while, but eventually it stops. The planet will be quiet again. Peaceful." I ran that same night, grabbed every file I could and disappeared. I've been terrified ever since. The man is a monster now, completely deranged and obsessed. He's got DARPA and secret biolabs across Africa, churning out nightmare after nightmare. He started with 15% and got addicted. Now he wants 84%, and he's not going to stop until the bodies pile so high the rest of us are buried. If you're hearing this, I'm still alive for now. The new strains are already being grown. The rats are being released. That 20-year clock is ticking down. This is real. It's coming. Please believe me before it's too late.
She's not wrong about Gates and his biolab cartel weaponizing the hantavirus. It was never considered highly contagious between humans until very recently. In fact, early 1990s hantavirus fact sheets explicitly stated the virus was not transmissible person to person. So now with authorities suddenly warning about rapid human spread, people have every right to ask what changed. What she didn't mention, because it fell outside of the scope of her personal work, is that Gates and his network developed hantavirus mRNA vaccines in parallel with the weaponized virus itself. And the results of the hantavirus vaccine human trial conducted by the military? 98% of participants injected with the experimental vaccine suffered adverse events. And for the record, in case they try to change the narrative when the media gets involved in the propaganda push, the DNA plasmid was created at the Fort Detrick BSL-4 Army Lab, just like the shady origins of the mRNA vaccine, which RFK Jr. revealed was actually created by the US military, before it was handed over to Moderna and Pfizer for the public rollout. Keep all of this in mind when the mainstream media is gaslighting you and cranking up the pressure to take the miracle vaccine for an engineered pandemic. Also keep in mind that hantavirus is listed in Pfizer's 38-page documents. It's on page 33. Hantavirus is one of 1,233 listed side effects of the COVID vaccine. Just another coincidence. I'm sure you'll agree. If you're doing your own research and digging into dangerous topics online like this one, you need to be protected.